We learned about drafting of motions. So of course, this could be a motion on notice or a motion ex parte. Now, the first thing in your draft is the heading of the court. All right, so here we see in the High Judicial Division holding at Abuja. Now, of course, the Judicial Division and holding would always be the same place, the same location. All right. The High Court, of course, would be the state where that court is situated. So in your civil litigation questions, that would always be the Lagos State or the Federal Capital Territory. Now, the next we have is the suit number to the right. To the right extreme underneath the heading, have the suit number. And then we have the parties between. Now you have the name of the first party in the suit, that's the claimant. Now it says claimant / applicant because the claimant is the one who's making this application, who's filing this motion. And then we have the defendant here, and we'll say defendant / respondent because the defendant is the respondent in respect of the motion that's been filed. Now, underneath the parties, we now have the title of the motion. So it says motion on notice. If this was a motion ex parte, it would say motion ex parte. And then it would go on to now state the rules, the provision in the rules or law upon which this motion is being brought to court. So it says brought pursuant to Order 43-1 of the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory Civil Procedure Rules 2018. If it were in Lagos State, it would say the High Court of Lagos State Civil Procedure Rules. And then it will also go on and say, and within the inherent jurisdiction of this honorable court, basically just stating that it is also within the authority of the court to hear the application that's being made. Now, Order 43 in the Lagos rules and Abuja rules are the order under which you would find interlocutory applications. So, I mean, that's a very useful order that you should have in mind, that you should be able to remember. Order 43, Lagos rules and Abuja rules is the order under the rules of court where you'd find interlocutory applications. Now to the body of the draft. Now it says, take notice that this honorable court will be moved on the day of 20 at the hour of 9 o'clock in the forenoon or so soon thereafter, as counsel for the claimant / applicant will be heard praying this court for the following orders. Now, let's analyze the body. It says take notice because you're basically telling the other party to be notified, to be informed about what you are doing, that this honorable court will be moved, all right? That this honorable court will be moved, meaning that you are going to be presenting your application to the court. Now, on what day? It says on the day of 20 . Now, you don't have to fill a date there because it's the registrar who would inform you as to the date your motion will be heard by the court. Now, it says at the hour of 9 o'clock in the forenoon. 9 o'clock in the forenoon simply means 9 o'clock before noon, and that is 9 a.m. And of course, you would know that the court sits at 9 a.m. So that's what it's saying at the hour of 9 o'clock in the forenoon. That's basically telling you that the court is going to be sat or seated at 9 a.m. And then it says, or so soon thereafter, all right? Because even though the court is going to be seated at 9 a.m., the court may not hear your motion at 9 a.m. Your motion may be something that is subsequently heard by the court. So at the hour of 9 o'clock in the forenoon or so soon thereafter, as counsel for the claimant applicant may be heard praying the court for the following orders, all right? Because that's what you're saying, that the court is going to be hearing your application. Now, what are you praying the court for? What request are you making to the court? Now, you see the order that's being prayed here. It says an order of interlocutory injunction. All right. If this was an interim injunction you're applying for, you say an order of interim injunction. All right. If this was an order of mandamus, or you're asking the court for, you say an order mandamus, depending on what you're asking the court for. And then you go on to provide details of what that injunction you're asking for is supposed to accomplish. And so it says here, restraining the defendants, their agents, servants, or any person acting on their behalf from holding itself out as the sole owner of the business of K and T, pending the determination of the suit. So you go ahead and state exactly what the order you're asking the court for is supposed to do. And then you would always, after making your particular prayers to the court, include what we call the omnibus prayer. Omnibus prayer is simply a broad request to the court to grant any other order which the court may deem suitable in the circumstances of the case. And so it says, and for such order or further orders as the court may deem fit to make in the circumstances. And then after that, you now date your motion. So it says dated this dash day of dash 20 dash, and then it's going to be signed by the lawyer who's drafted it. So here it says cancel the claimant whose address is 10 Niger Road, Abuja. You can also provide the telephone number and email address of the lawyer. And then it's going to be served, of course, on the defendant who's the respondent in respect of this application. So it says on notice to K&T Limited, care of the defendant's counsel at Isabello Star Solicitors, 1 Bello Avenue, Garaki. So this is how you draft your motion. Let me show you something quickly. The motion ex parte, as you can see being shared on the screen now, you won't have a respondent. You would only have one party being an applicant. Here we have the claimants as the applicants. The defendants here are not respondents, because you should remember that the motion ex parte is simply between the applicant and the court. The other party is not going to be served with that motion. And that's why after drafting it also, we simply sign it, and we do not have it being, we don't have the other party being put on notice. All right, so it's simply just signed, it's dated and signed after drafting. So I hope this has been helpful in teaching you how to draft a motion, and I'll see you some other time. And bye for now.